a report from Hitman Hoops, who has become among the most reliable Memphis reporters that exist, at least as it pertains to Memphis basketball. Hitman Hoops is reporting that Arkansas and John Calipari are in discussions with the University of Memphis to play an exhibition game in Memphis, presumably at FedEx Forum, in advance of this upcoming season, in a benefit that would raise money for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital in downtown Memphis. It sounds like it's part two of what we started last season.
Yeah, the Hoops for St. Jude.
When North Carolina men and South Carolina women came in to play the University of Memphis men and women's basketball teams, and that raised money for St. Jude. There was always a hope that we would get another version of this, and it sounds like we are close to doing that. And this one would be especially interesting because it would not bring John Calipari back to Memphis for the first time since he left Memphis. He did coach in FedEx Forum with Kentucky.
Yes.
In the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight several years ago. So he's been back to Memphis. I mean, he's back to Memphis all the time. I think he was here yesterday.
Yeah.
Like, I think I saw him with your uncle.
Yeah, he was here.
Okay, yeah.
He was here.
So he is back here often, but it will be the first time he will have coached against the University of Memphis since leaving the University of Memphis. And even if it wouldn't be a, quote, real game, it'd be a moment. It'd be something.
Yeah, he talked about like potentially getting honored one day, or he was asked about it by the media. I think Mike Sadie asked him the question, and he said, you know, I'd be open to do it. Some along the lines of I'd be open to do it, but I want all my players to be back as well.
Right.
But you know, I if this happens, I think it's awesome, dude, because it's. You know where I stand on the whole thing. Like, I think that it's far past time that we honor him for some of the greatest years we've ever had in the history of the program.
You ready for this? He's the best coach in the history of the university.
Yeah. And then this...
regardless of sport.
And then it's also a no-brainer that Arkansas should be playing the University of Memphis. It's one of those regional rivalries we talk about, like Ole Miss, like Tennessee. It's just one of those games that makes so much sense. And I know this would, in theory, be an exhibition game, but it's a start. And the one last year was really cool. And I thought it was awesome to have these huge brands in North Carolina men and South Carolina women here. I will say, I think you got a chance of bringing more people into the arena if Arkansas is playing this exhibition game against Memphis. Yeah.
Don't forget what the stated goal here is. It's not just to play a basketball game. It's to raise money for St. Jude. You will raise more money with John Calipari than you will with North Carolina.
Yeah.
There'll be Memphis fans who will say, I want to be in the building when John Calipari
returns, right?
Is there. Either because I want to
boo him or cheer him. Yeah.
Whatever you want to do, you'll want to be there. And if John really does sign off on this, I give him an immense amount of credit because that might be an uncomfortable day for him. And he'd be willing to go through that in the spirit of raising what would be real money for a very important place in the city. And for all of John's whatevers, he does have a big heart. Like, he does have a history of being charitable and trying to raise money, whether it's for tornado victims or flood victims, or...
He's fond of the city. He likes it here. I mean, he liked his time here.
He left for Kentucky.
Yes.
Literally any coach that doesn't have lifelong ties to Memphis would leave Memphis for Kentucky. I've never gotten caught up on this. Like, literally never.
Me either.
I can remember John Calipari leaving Memphis on whatever day of the week that was, going to the Final Four, bumping into him at a restaurant. I mean, he's just 2 days ago left Memphis. That's my alma mater. And I see him. He's got his Kentucky thing on already. And I bump into him at a restaurant. And you know what I did? I congratulated him.
Yeah.
I said, I'm happy for you and your family. You know, hate to see you go, but I'm happy for you. Because that is genuinely how I felt. I hated to see him go, but I was happy for him and his family because I knew how much that meant to him to get on that side of the rope, so to speak. He'd always been kind of an outsider. Like, yeah, you can coach at UMass and Memphis, but Kentucky, they don't want you. Indiana, they wouldn't touch you. UCLA, not somebody like you. He'd always been thought of a little bit like that. I mean, honestly, he was the right hire when they pushed Tubby Smith out. But my understanding back then was, well, we're the University of Kentucky. We're not going to hire somebody like John Calipari. They looked down at him like a little cheater. That's the real perception.
Yep.
We're not going to hire somebody like that. But then you hire Billy Gillespie. That's a disaster. And you realize we got to get this right. So you can't get Billy Donovan, can't get Jay Wright. Might as well go get John Calipari. So you go get John Calipari then. And he was always going to take that job, just like anybody in his shoes outside of somebody with lifelong ties and allegiances to the city of Memphis or the University of Memphis. Without exception, they would all take that job. And so I just never got caught up on, I can't believe other people, and I'm sure it's in the chat, well, it's not that he left, it's how he left. There's no good way to do it. There's just no good way to do it.
Right.
And you can get mad about the recruiting class. John Wall never wanted to play at Memphis. He wanted to play for John Calipari. DeMarcus Cousins didn't want to play for Memphis. He wanted to play for John Calipari. Like, even that was just always a byproduct of everything else. So how would I feel with John coming back to Memphis? I would hope that he would be properly appreciated, that he would get this standing ovation and good moment that I do believe he earned.
Yep.
This is not hyperbole. He's responsible for the best years in the history of the University of Memphis basketball. You can love Larry Finch. You can love Dana Kirk. You can love Penny Hardaway. The best coach in the history of Memphis basketball is John Calipari. And you ready? Probably forever will be.
Well, and I think the thing, too, with this potentially happening, and if you could find a way to even tie into the celebration on the same weekend or something like that, if you wanted to do something like that, it would be good for the University of Memphis. Like, that would get some buzz. That would get some real buzz nationally. Yeah. So
I'm out of the business of telling other people how to feel or act. For the most part. I mean, I'm sure I'll slip up every once in a while. I'm just smart enough at this age to know if there's a Memphis fan out there who just hates John Calipari, I'm not going to talk him into not hating John Calipari. If there's a Memphis fan who wants to buy a ticket and go with side FedEx Forum and boo John Calipari, I'm not going to be able to talk him out of that. So I don't even try anymore. Yeah. I'm just saying the way I would feel. Yeah. The way I would handle. And, you could say whatever you want to say, but like I grew up caring about this stuff just as much as you did, whoever you are. I went to school there. I bought tickets to go to things there. I care about that. And I do not look at John Calipari as a traitor or any of that stuff. I look at John Calipari as somebody who did more or less what most of us try to do with our careers, which is you take the best job you can get when you get it. You work it as hard as you can work it. You love it while you're doing it. And if you're fortunate enough to be good at that job, maybe you can get a better job, and then you take advantage of that better job and you go do it as well as you can do it for as long as you can. That's my career. That is how my entire career is unfolding. I take the best job I can get. I work as hard at it as I can, and I hope bigger, better things open up. And if they do, I consider them, and sometimes I take advantage of them. That's my entire career. How different is that than what John Calipari did? While he was here, he was awesome. While he was here, he worked incredibly hard. While he was here, he did incredibly important things and made that basketball program as good as anybody has ever made it. Period. And I think that should be more appreciated, but I understand that there are Memphians who feel differently very strongly. So that's fine. Either way, it would be a neat moment if he does bring the Razorbacks into downtown Memphis to coach against the Tigers, even if it is an exhibition.
That was cool news yesterday.
It'll raise real money for St. Jude, and it'll be a cool moment for, I think, both basketball programs and the city, broadly speaking. And so, yeah, I'm with you. I hope it happens.
The Gary Parrish Show, live weekdays at 10 a.m.